Hey, Coach Grassie.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Coach.
What's going on, Coach?
Talk about getting that W at home. That's nice to get up. Ties are one thing, but a W is something else altogether, right?
Yeah, I know that's what we definitely needed. We're playing three, top 20 teams from the MAC, Bowling Green, WVU, and Akron, and two wins and a tie from that stretch has been fantastic.
Sort of like I was asking Vitor earlier. I know that some coaches like to use the revenge factor, some don't. Where are you at with that as far as I know it's a new year and everything, but those are back-to-back two teams that you fell to last year in your chase for a championship.
Yeah, no, definitely it was, those games always stick in your mind, the games that you lose, the games that you lose controversially as well. It really does stick in. And we talked about being a fight, and it really was today. You saw how open the game was at times. I think we probably had about 7 or 8 breakaways. They probably had 3, 4 where they could have had like pretty good goals. And I think we had to pick those moments to fight and those moments to play. It was a very strange game with the stoppages and the way things were sort of getting broken up. So it was important for us to stay mentally focused. But we talked about that beforehand, with it being, we look back 2017, 2019, 2020, and we knew they're coming back to our place, so we need to even up the series here since I've been here. And the guys definitely were up for the fight today and did a great job.
Vitor talked about taking a little time off. When you're playing a schedule this caliber, game after game, and Kentucky this weekend, how important is it to realize when you rest them and when you do training and trying to find a good balance?
No, that's what we talked. That was one of the major points of this week is if you want to have elite performance, you need to have elite recovery afterwards. And we weren't off. They were in, doing the massage, recovery massage, stretching, ice baths. We were going through walkthroughs of tactics, but we weren't really training. We weren't putting any load on them. So, them making sure they're focused on the victory, and they have to take their time to rest and not hang out with their friends and get good sleep and get good, medical care if they need it, and recovery and all the treatments that we give them here. That's such an important piece. And sometimes that's more important than trying to run it and do an extra little bit in tactics, making sure you've got the horses available for the race.
How much easier does it make that decision for you as a coach whenever you've got such a veteran team? And it might be a little different if you have 4 or 5 newcomers out there, but, does it make it easier for you to make that decision to rest up?
There was half the group resting and half the group were training. The guys that, we have a very good sports science team here. Josh and Sam in particular do a fantastic job of measuring their minutes and making sure that their load is where it needs to be. So they had half the group doing, intensive sort of work, some of it long distance games, some of it short-sided games. So they're getting their accelerations, decelerations, long distance, high intensity sprint distance, sprint maxes, all that sort of stuff, all the data that comes into play. So for each individual person, based on their minutes and contribution, we have a different plan for them. And obviously they generally fall into 2 groups, the guys who play a lot of minutes and the guys who, need to stay sharp in case we call on them.
Coach, talk about tonight, 15 fouls for you all. Like, how do you guys try to clean that up before Kentucky?
Honestly, I'd say 14 of them weren't fouls. So there's nothing we'll do differently.
In terms of this one, though, you mentioned some of the stoppages. It seemed like 3 or 4 times that you all had an advantage and things would get stopped. How frustrating is that? That sometimes there's going to be whistles, but there's got to be a play-through situation too.
Yeah, I would have liked to see, though there's probably the one that comes to mind was the second half. We were going sort of 3v1 into their back line, and he, called it back for a free kick for us, where, you've just got to let that play. I mean, there's the clear advantage. We're going to get to goal. There's no better advantage than that. So you'd like to see them called, and maybe, in the future those will be called differently. We just got to accept it and play, play with the whistles and the stoppages that happen.
Somebody that one portion of the match that I thought was kind of interesting. Pedro, I don't know how the ball went through him whenever. Are you there, Coach?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I got a call and it cut out for a second. But I don't know how the ball went through him on Milo's cross, but he kept his head and was able to continue through. A minute and a half later, you all get a goal. Is that sort of part of Pedro's game that is sort of elevated over the last couple of years, him being able to keep his head after that situation?
Yeah, I think the emotional control is definitely something. It's one of the key things that improves with time, and one of the things that the mentality, the emotional control is one of the key things that we work on. You know, we're not really going to make them have a better technique when they get here. You know, we work on their, tactical and we work on their emotional, mental control. I mean, that's essentially at this age, the areas that really need to improve. And he's definitely done a great job. And as part of a mantra, of the team, we'll get the next one. If you miss one, it just means you did everything else right. You timed your run, you got in behind, you did your job. You just didn't have the finishing pieces. But if you take all the positives from that, the build-up play, the runs, the movement, the timing, and recreate it, instead of getting down on missing the shot, if you can just do that again. And we did that as a team and scored the goal. And that's just so important at this level.
Coach Grant asked Vitor about, and you've talked about all year about knowing that people are coming after you. Are you starting as this season goes to kind of adjust to that, from an emotional, physical, intellectual standpoint, and also on the pitch, doing it all at the same time?
Yeah, I think we still got, a lot of things to work on in terms of our own personal game, but we know what's going to come. We looked at a really tough schedule this year. Regardless, the schedule was put in place, before we won the championship. And so we were looking for a really challenging, really tough schedule, because we knew we'd have the guys, in their senior years and ready to go. And so, part of that is understanding now that we've won the championship that the games are just a little bit tougher. But honestly, and I'm sure coaches say that this all the time, but we have to work on us. If we can fix our kind of prevention, if we can fix our retention of the ball and our timing and our tactical understanding, it's all about us. It's all about the things that we do. And we know, as much as the opposition is going to be tough, because it's tough every week, we've scheduled it that way, that if we can take care of our business, we'll be fine when it comes to it. It's really, as much as winning that championship, you're battling other teams, but it's also about battling yourself.
Coach, looking at the remainder of the schedule, you guys only have 2 more midweek matches left. Now you're going to get into the weekly portion. So how do you guys try to manage the conditioning from here on in?
Well, it gets a little easier. Obviously, we've still got Kentucky, Butler, and ODU on this hectic schedule of every few days. So we'll probably do more of the same. A lot of tactical work, a lot of mental work, and a lot of physical recovery for the guys who played a lot of minutes. But once we get into the week by week, it's a little bit nicer, because you can then give sort of 2 days off and they can get a mental break and they can come back in sharp and rested and ready to go, as well as getting all the sort of the recovery treatment. So that'll be nice, and then we can put a sort of more comprehensive game plan together. We can work on a few more things in the week. We have those training days now, 2 extra training days in the week where, we can really sort of hone a few things a little bit more.
You guys good?
Good.
Yep, we're good. Thank you, Coach.
Good.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.